Hello. I was asking my friend Chana if I have to dance because I see I'm geared with freedom on the movement, etc. So let's perform. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation. I am quite jealous of AFCM because there are a lot of people in that room that are not yet members of GCCA. So I hope I will give you appetite for joining GCCA, the Global Cement and Concrete Association. We have 20 minutes, so I will try to move on. The first mission and the first thing that we are doing with GCCA is remind the world one thing: concrete is essential. In all narrative we have to start with this. We have to say our product is essential, our product cannot be substituted, and it's essential to build the world of tomorrow because concrete is the backbone of the modern society. And very often the people that talk about climate, that talk about the change, the transition, etc., they forgot that they have actually already a strong backbone in Europe, in America. And this backbone needs to be developed in many places of the world. So what is important with our sector is to remind that 80% of the cement consumption is done outside of Europe or North America. And that makes it very specific compared to any other climate transition discussion. And you see, it is actually recognized. I mean, you have here the statements of Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Secretary General. You have here the statement of John Kerry, which is the Special Envoy of the United States on climate. And they both acknowledge this fact, which is something we have been working with them, saying, one, we have an essential product. Yes, it needs to be decarbonized, but we need to bear in mind that there is a future to be built in many, many places across the world. So what we are doing in GCCA, and that's where I want you to join as a company or as an association. So we are basically a CEO-led organization, and we have 42 members from the biggest international firms, international and national. We have actually all type of size, from big, I want to say, conglomerate or multi-countries sector, like CNBM, like Holcim, like Heidelberg Material, but we also have some mid-size and some even one-plant companies. So we are really open to every type of members, and we are also cooperating with our national and regional industry association partner, right? So these are the CELBURO, the PCA, the TCMA partners, and we are working together on many things, and I'm going to introduce that in a second. But it's important because as more we are, and as stronger we are there, as more credible and as more listen we will be. So that's why we need really to have the support of everyone and to rally particularly, I mean, in East Asia, where we need to progress in membership. I'm thinking about Vietnam in particular. I'm thinking of Indonesia down the road with more members, etc., etc. What we have done on what we are doing with cement is first we are progressing, and this is something also which is important to say. We have started our decarbonization journey. 23% reduction over 1990. I invite you to participate actually on the GNR. This is the number gathering, and you don't have to be members to participate or to give your input to this system. But this is the global reporting system for all the information on cement. So it's very important that we have the information from all over the world. It's very simple and it's free to participate. But you see, we are progressing 23%. And the good thing is that this number is actually accelerating, if I may say. So we are moving, 2 years ago it was only 20%, right? So in average, we need to have a progression if we go to our commitment of 2030, which is to reduce a further 20% on 2030 versus 2020. We need to reduce by 1.5, 1.8 compound annual growth rate. And that's more or less where we are. But that's not enough. I mean, we need to continue pushing. And why we are progressing? Because all of our members are actually having actions on decarbonization. They are moving forward. They are moving forward on products, decarbonized low carbon products. They are moving forward on production process, on efficiencies. They are moving forward on fuel. They are moving forward on energy. They are moving forward on all type of innovation, including carbon capture, use and store. And you see that's really the common denominator of all the people around it through association or through individual companies. making things happen. And this gives us credibility, right? So I will drive you through a few things that we are doing, and since the session is really on net zero, on decarbonization, I will introduce first what we are doing there, and this is basically our roadmap. So I think you have seen this graph before, maybe not. So we have GCCA as an association has piloted this global understanding of where and what can the cement do, right? So this was done over a period of 18, 20 months. We actually published it in 2021, just ahead of the COP in Glasgow. And we have identified, through a work of 9 regions represented, 200 people from the industry discussing what can be done. So these 7 levels of decarbonization. And I appreciate that some of the levels are not strictly cement, right? But we need to understand the full value chain effect. And we need also to make sure that not only cement bears the load on the work, on the burden of decarbonizing, right? We need to talk to the full value chain. So the 7 levels are starting in construction, right? How do we build better? Concrete, industrialization of concrete, or the use of the proper use of the cement in the base and making the concrete, industrialization of concrete, if this is possible. We have, of course, all the discussion on the products, developing low carbon products, so this is the clinker factor in general lever in pink. We have in orange there the substitution, that's the fuel. Huh? I mean, we are still in a discussion where when we have, and when we co-process, when we treat waste in the cement kiln, and I say these words, we treat waste in cement kiln, we bring a solution to the society, right? We are actually decarbonizing because we decarbonize the waste sector, right? So they don't have to do it because we are doing it. And we want to be recognized by this, and GCCA is working on that. And of course, the bigger lever is carbon capture, use and store, right? We will come back to that in 1 second. And you have then in blue, the grid, so decarbonizing the electricity, that's all the solar, the windmill, etc. And one thing which is important, the recarbonation. Recarbonation should be on every roadmap of the cement industry. That's the reabsorption of the CO2 over the lifetime of the concrete, right? 6%, that's so much less that we don't have to invest into CCUS, right? And we can make that number grow a little bit through specific studies. So what do we do after that? We actually have a global commitment through the roadmap. And the question is then, I mean, so what, right? I mean, GCCA, I mean, our little team of 10 people will not make it happen alone, right? So what we decided is to launch what we call this Net Zero Accelerator. And this is about partnership with the national associations on the local GCCA members to realize and to understand what is the translation of the global roadmap on the local realities. Not everybody will have the same levels. Not everybody will play the same technologies, right? So we need to make sure that the people, the local people, understands where we are on how much you want to play what technology, right? How much carbon capture, how much clinker factor is possible. About waste, how much waste can you really substitute in the kiln? I mean, are you in a position to go to 80, 90% substitution? Or are you in a condition where, I mean, 30%, 50% will already be complicated to reach, right? Together with that, we have another 2 deliverables which are fundamental for the discussion. The first one is to prepare the policy asks, to understand what is the counterpart in policy terms of reaching the net zero. We are clear, the net zero will not happen alone. The industry will not bear the burden of the transition alone. It is something that happens through the value chain with a lot of other people and with the support of government. We cannot talk about circularity if there is not a circularity law in place and enforced. We cannot talk about carbon capture if we don't have something to pay for it. Who's paying for carbon capture? The government, initially, the customers, at the end, carbon credit in other countries. So these things need to be clear. And also, we need to have a very, very, very clear on forwards. Carbon price, yes, maybe we will come or not carbon price, that's a discussion, but we should never mention just carbon price and carbon leakage carbon price and carbon leakage. You cannot have a CO2 tax alone in your country if you don't have a protection also that goes with that, right? So that's fundamental to have this discussion and to understand how you want to play this reality in your countries, and nobody else than you can do it. I mean, this is not something we can substitute. And the third deliverable is the projects, right? We need to have projects, and we need to understand, because when we are discussing financing, when we are discussing grants, when you are discussing with international institutions, we need to come with something credible, with something tangible, to say, well, look, you want me to move? Look, that's what is blocking me. That's the cost. That's how much I'm losing. I cannot invest into a losing project. I cannot invest if I'm not making profit behind that, right? And everybody will understand that, right? So to be credible, we need to have these numbers and to make sure that this happens. Tribute to TCMA, we did that exercise. Thailand was the first country to actually go through the whole exercise with, I think, incredible results. I mean, I think Mr. Pumi presented the results to you earlier today, so I don't have to come back. But this was great. I mean, here you see the Ministries of Environment literally presenting to the national TV the roadmap as an illustration of the of the net zero transition of Thailand in the national TV. I mean, really a tribute, because that was in Sharm el Sheikh last year. Fantastic achievement. So what we need to have in each country is a battle plan. It's understanding how do we play each of the technologies, and understanding for each technologies, what do we want in terms of policy, what do we need in terms of knowledge. That's something that we need to transfer also. Running a kiln at 70% or 90% substitution is not the same as running a kiln at 30%, right? And there are experience there which can be shared, that can be contributed. Developing calcined clay products, this is also something that exists. So we need to be able to share this knowledge. How much knowledge do you need? Where? Projects, as I said, we need to have something on the table if we want to discuss financial contribution, grants, lending money, etc. If you don't have the projects, there is no discussion. So you need to have the projects, and you need to formulate this project already. And then the last thing is obviously probably the most important, financing, right? How do we finance? I give you a few examples. Europe, there was 7 billion distributed after the COVID through a fund called Innovation Fund, right? 27% of this 7 billion were given to the cement sector in Europe. 27% of this money. On 7 projects, carbon capture projects. One sector, one technology, 27% of it. This is never seen before. Never seen before. Why? Because we were ready. Because the Europeans were ready. Because they had the project. Because they could jump on this innovation fund. So that's why it's so important to be prepared, to do what I call the homework, and then to come with the proposal when the money is coming. Money will come. Money will come. It will come. Either through grant, through solutions, international transfer, it will come. We talk about 100 billions. I mean, we will discuss at COP in 2 weeks with people. They'd say 100 billions a year to distribute and to make sure that we have money for adaptation, mitigation, etc. So that's where we need to have the project on it, right? So how do we work on how do we help you to do these things? So one thing we are doing is really the international collaboration. And there I will focus more on the famous policy ask. What do we do there? The things we are doing well is we are sitting on the top table, right? So I mean, we are discussing with UNFCCC, we are discussing with the Race to Zero, the high-level climate champions, we are discussing, you see, with John Kerry, we are discussing everything that counts. GCCA is at the table, and we are representing the industry there on definition, on explaining what we are doing, and in making sure that our vision is understood, that our solution are on the table, that it's not somebody else coming on talking. There are many people that wants to talk about concrete. Many people. Concrete zero, concrete I don't know what, etc. No, we know what we want to do. We have a commitment. We want to make it happen. Listen to us, right? And we have this credibility as GCCA. And I'm going to give you a few examples where we can make the difference. First, Cement Breakthrough. That's an initiative from the British that was launched in COP26 in Glasgow to call governments to work together on a specific technology, in large terms, cement, steel, agriculture, and to understand how policy can be accelerated to shape and to facilitate the transition, right? We are on the table there, right? Us, nobody else. And with that, we discuss with the Canadians, they are chairing this initiative, how they could embark the different countries of the world to have this discussion and to illustrate what they have done well. On Canada, they have wonderful legislation. I mean, they also gave a lot of money to their industries through carbon pricing, through grants, through whatever support, etc., etc. And also they have a fantastic circularity regulation that can be learned from. On this will happen from government to government. So this is really a unique moment where we can have a discussion, not only the industry together with the government, because we know that sometimes it's not that easy, right? And they are not necessarily listening, but also from government to government under the leadership of United Nations, right? So that's really a fantastic opportunity. And there we want to really push on go forward. Second, we have this thing about financing, and this is with UNIDO. We are working with UNIDO, and we want to have a program, and maybe we will have some money one day, some big money. I mean, we are discussing of a multi-million euro project in Thailand in particular, as a consequence of the roadmap. And what is the vision of UNIDO? The UNIDO say it's a chain reaction, and that's how they speak to the world on the transition. It's a chain reaction. First, and there is a step there that is missing, what we have done, roadmap. Industry makes its homework. We know where we want to go, we know what technology, we know what project, we know what we need to put in place. Fundamental homework. Then, we build, UNIDO help us to build the enabling environment. Legislation change. It's exactly what we are saying. Legislation change. So UNIDO will come and say, we will help you to put in place legislation that will facilitate the transition. Second, financial environment, understand. How do you finance a green project? They say, I have billion. I was in New York Climate Week, right? I was discussing with investors. They say, I have 10 billion for green projects. I have 3 billion. What do you want? I want 25% return on investment. Huh? What? 25% of return on investment? But on the CCUS, we don't even know where we're going. So this doesn't work. We need to explain to these people the new business model. We need to say, look, that's how the things will work, right? And with that, we have the support of the Multilateral Development Bank that will help us to show the way and to make sure that the projects in India, in Thailand, in other countries are actually taking place, and that we are proposing things that make sense. And negotiating how much benefits we can get from that. And then we can mobilize the finance at scale, right? And that's what we are trying to do with all this discussion, where there is today some opportunities to have money. Click in Thailand, that's a good example. Switzerland is ready to give money to projects in Thailand to have the financial benefits and to cover for the gap of money that is missing in your business case, right? So on a calcine clay, on a waste project, they say, look, if it's a little bit more expensive, we're going to give you a reward for the CO2 benefits that you are making, right? And these are big money, huh? We talk about millions, right? So these are things that exist. We are working on other themes, and we will come back on that, international money transfer, etc. That's also one initiative that we are doing, is creating the market for net zero material, right? So we work with UNIDO also on that, defining what is low carbon and what is near zero carbon, near zero cement. And we are going in that to say, look, we need to help the countries to put what is called a buy clean legislation, right? So this happens already in US. You have several states that say, as of 2035, I will buy first near zero technology. So if you have a carbon capture, you will have your own marketplace. You will not compete with the regular cement. You will have your own marketplace. Infrastructure, first, I will go there. Our three priorities in GCCA today. One, we want to continue to develop the roadmap. Two, we want to leverage the international partnership in the policy ask. So this is what I was commenting. And three, we need to identify the financial support on how we can get on support. I'm almost done. I would like to spend 5 minutes, 30 seconds on CCUS. 2 slides. By the way, we have a great innovation program in GCCA, something fantastic. I don't have time, but I mean, come to me, I'll explain you on that. That's really a fantastic program that we are running, which you will not find. Importance of CCUS and challenge of CCUS. This is the result of a work that we did with a think tank called Mission Possible Partnership, and they summarize the key technologies that will bring us to net zero, the world, not only cement. And look at that. Power, green power, ramp up 13 times. Hydrogen, ramp up 18 times. Sustainable biomass, ramp up 8 times. CCUS, ramp up 99 times, right? And that's why we need support of government, and that's why we need to start the discussion. Because this will take some time, and we have only 26 years to get to net zero. We have in GCCA fantastic things on this. I will not go in there, but we have a whole program on CCUS. So also this is to the benefit of our member, in particular a book explaining how to do CCUS. We have different projects. That's what I wanted to show you. Technologies, because some people ask me. We have today about, how many there are? 10, 12 technologies. And you see this is the technical readiness level of each of these technologies. Today there is only one technology, that's the one that we will have in Brevik, right? Which is proven concept operational mode. But look how many are being developed. And this is how it would look like in a couple of years, right? 2025. Because we have so many projects going on. There is currently 146 projects, CCUS, large scale, that are being developed by the members. 49 already informed. You have them here. If you want to take the QR code, you can monitor and check on every project what it is. But just to say, this is advancing, right? And this is advancing fast. And that's my last message here. So really, we have a program. It is a huge challenge. I think it is unprecedented for our industry. But we need to address it. And only being at the table of discussion, we will address it properly. And that's the mission that we have at GCCA. And that's why we need to cooperate globally, locally with you guys to make it happen and to have your words in our discussions, right? Thank you very much.
I'd like to thank all our speakers for giving us a valuable sharing this afternoon. Thank you. Thank you.